Hello and welcome to One Good Life. In this channel, we draw insights from modern science and ancient wisdom that can help us live a happy and meaningful life. Today, I want to start talking about yoga. During the week, I work as a software engineer and artificial intelligence researcher, which I love, but on the weekends, I've recently started a yoga teacher training to deepen my own practice and also be able to share this ancient and amazing discipline which has changed the lives of many. And I would like to start speaking a little more about yoga in this channel. Many of you perhaps already practice yoga at a yoga studio or a gym and are looking to deepen your own practice. This could mean learning more about the different poses, asanas, which is one of the limbs, parts of the wider discipline of yoga, but you also might be interested in understanding a little more the philosophy around it, its ancient origins and how the tradition progressed throughout the millennia. So today I want to introduce a concept which I think can help place the physical practice of yoga in its wider context. I'd like to talk about the Patanjali Sutras. So Patanjali was an ancient sage who is estimated to have lived somewhere around the turn of the Common Era. Most scholars estimate him to have written the sutras in the first few centuries of the Common Era. To place this in the context of wider religions and spiritual practices, by that time Hinduism, which is really an umbrella term to encompass different religions and practices, had long started, and so had Judaism. These two are by far two of the longest living religions which are still practiced to this day, which is really, really interesting. And also by the time Patanjali wrote these Yoga Sutras, Jainism and Buddhism had begun, and also Christianity, not yet Islam, which would come a few centuries later. So what are the Yoga Sutras? The Sutras are foundational text in the discipline of yoga. These Yoga Sutras were meant to be concise phrases which encapsulated a lot of the knowledge and wisdom of yoga, and also practical tools and advice for how to practice yoga. Patanjali played a key role in writing down and sort of structuring the practice of yoga around certain texts which had long been passed on orally and in the tradition for a long time before that. He's also known as an academic in the grammar of Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the world's oldest religion, and it originated in South Asia, which is around India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and still today, in a more modern form, is one of the official languages of India. Although it's not commonly colloquially spoken, it had remained a really important language, especially in terms of religious liturgy within different religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and others. Today we won't be talking too much more about Sanskrit, however I will be mentioning the meaning of the first and second Yoga Sutras in its original Sanskrit language, and also some possible translations for them in English. So there are 195 or 96 Yoga Sutras, and today we'll be covering the first and the second one of the first chapter. The first one is Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. This sutra means, now the practice of yoga begins. I found a few different interpretations for this first Yoga Sutra. In general terms, what it means is that now the practice of yoga begins. However, it's interpreted in different ways. Some people take it as literally, now this is the first sutra, the discipline of yoga begins, and hereof we'll introduce further wisdom related to yoga. However, based on the Sanskrit grammar used, it also implies that there was something that came before. Some people think that perhaps Patanjali wrote previous texts that acted as an introduction to the sutras, which might have been lost over history. However, other people believe that this previous knowledge that it's being referred to means everything that we've experienced in our life so far, all the wisdom that we've acquired through our experiences, through our life's ups and downs, that we now bring onto the mat, which I think is a really beautiful interpretation. And other people translate this sutra as now is the practice of yoga, to mean that yoga is not something that we do only on the mat. Yoga philosophy, it's all-encompassing and it can be translated to many situations in life. Yoga is not something that we wait till we are at a studio or on the mat to start. It's something that is to be practiced and lived now, in the present moment, whatever the situation is. Atha yoga anushasanam. Atha yoga anushasanam. I apologize if my Sanskrit pronunciation is not perfect. I will aim to improve my pronunciation as I learn more about the philosophy of yoga. This is said to be particularly important because Sanskrit is known as a language of vibration and sound, and throughout the millennia it's always been passed from teacher to student with a very strong focus on perfect pronunciation. And because of this importance placed in the passing of the proper sound from generation to generation, it is believed that the pronunciation that we've got today is pretty much identical or very, very close to its original pronunciation, which I think is really cool. So the second Patanjali Yoga Sutra says Yogaha, chitta, vritti, nirodhaha. Yogaha, chitta, vritti, nirodhaha. Yogaha, chitta, vritti, nirodhaha. Chitta refers to consciousness or mind. Vritti means fluctuations, and nirodhaha means suppression, restraint, quieting. This sutra is interpreted as yoga being the practice of suppressing the fluctuations in the mind, the thoughts that are constantly invading our mind and which we normally closely associate with. So here we see how yoga and meditation are really one and the same in many ways. Meditation is a really key component of yoga. The discipline of yoga involves our body, but also our mind and our actions and thoughts as well. Yogaha, chitta, vritti, nirodhaha. Yogaha, chitta, vritti, nirodhaha. And the sutras then go on to explore what happens if we don't quiet the mind this way, what happens if we don't create some distance between ourselves and the thoughts that constantly appear in our mind. In future videos we'll explore this relationship between yoga and meditation. Many people arrive at yoga from meditation and others arrive at meditation from yoga. I'm sure I will learn a lot along this path of becoming a yoga teacher, so I invite you to join me in this journey, learning about yoga and deepening my practice and my understanding of the philosophy around it. If you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe so we can stay in touch, and also click the like button, comment down below with your thoughts and whether you learned anything new today. That really helps us and we really appreciate it. Hope you have a good week and see you next time.